Welcome back to International Education Spotlight podcast with Global Travel Education, where we explore outstanding global learning opportunities for students and families and bring you powerful opportunities shaping the next generation of global leaders. Today's episode is especially exciting for parents and educators and anyone thinking about how to give young people a true edge in today's world. We're joined by Mr. Paul Sharples from Stonyhurst College in the United Kingdom, one of the most historic and prestigious schools in the world, with a legacy spanning over 400 years. We're going to explore the summer programs and why families from across the globe are choosing to send their children there, not just for education, but for transformation. So, Paul, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Eunice, thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in with what parents are really thinking. For parents in the US and in other countries who may not be very familiar with what makes Stonyhurst College summer programs different from camps or academic programs, what is it that really stands out for your summer programs?
Yeah, well, I guess it's an extension of our main college, really. The school was founded in 1593 in France, an English school for Catholic boys. And we've carried that tradition on as we've moved to different countries, and we relocated into the UK in the late 1700s, so 1794 we moved here. We're a Jesuit school, so we are sort of measured in terms of how we generate a curriculum that helps the whole person. So we focus on many things. We're not just an academic school. We're an academic school. We're a sporting school. We're a drama school. We give children the opportunity to come and spend time for a short window, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the summer, to experience what it's like to attend a British boarding school with lots of history, really. And I guess for people who are not familiar with us, it's very much like being in a self-contained area. There's lots of children from different countries. So last year we had, I think, 19 different nationalities represented. So it gives pupils a really good opportunity to join the school, which is a global school, and give opportunities for that really broad learning and understanding different cultures and spending time with pupils from all over the world, really. So that's kind of how we harness that British boarding school experience.
All right, that sounds really great. My next question is this. A lot of students that come from the United States and probably globally might not necessarily be looking for a regular school type experience. When they hear summer, they're thinking holiday, they're thinking having fun. What makes this not very stringent in terms of academics? What kinds of fun activities involved that at the same time are building them as future leaders and preparing them to actually integrate well in the society and for college and career?
Well, it's a very well planned program. So it runs in a very sort of set way. The mornings are always taken up with the sort of the academic side of things, so learning English, the culture, the links to literature and the other things that we have at Stonyhurst to share with the pupils that come along. But then the afternoon is when the fun stuff kicks in, I suppose you want to call that. And so we do special subject lessons. It could be astronomy, art, crafts. We do things outside. The estate is 1,000 acres, which is a big place. So we do lots of things in the woods. And then we head into evening activities where it could be live music, casino nights, those kind of things. And then the excursions which are off campus. So we go away from the campus for 1.5 days a week. So we go Monday afternoons and we go all day Wednesday. And then that can be to the cultural cities. So Liverpool and Manchester are the closest cities to where we are. The Lake District, which is a national park, a very historic place. So we'll go to those kind of places. And it's giving the pupils travelling from different parts of the world as kind of a window into what it's like to be in the UK. And so that's how we do that. And so as much as we spend time working on developing the English language skills, both written and spoken, of the pupils, there is as much emphasis placed on making friends, having a really good time, having fun, and making some lasting memories that they can take back to their schools when they go back to the countries that they've come from, whether that be the States or Spain or Italy or wherever that may be, really. So It's a nice mix of academic, fun, and memory making, really.
Culture. That's incredible. Safety is always a top concern for parents. It's always a top concern for sponsors. So how do you ensure students are safe? How do you ensure they are supervised, supported, especially those traveling internationally for the first time?
Yeah, of course. So I'll start with that then, I think. So the travel is something that we're very supportive of. So we ask that the pupils, the students, arrive to Manchester Airport. And then at that point, we take care of everything. We have chaperones based at the airport to welcome the students as they arrive, young or old. And then we have dedicated transport to get them back to the school. So we're about 1 hour from the nearest airport, which is Manchester. As I said before, our estate is 1,000 acres in size, and it's protected by 24-hour security. So we've got security staff that work across the school. But we're very rural, so we're essentially in the middle of nowhere, really. So it's very protected and safe in that sense. And the boarding houses are looked after by our pastoral teams. Essentially, we've got sort of three groups of staff that look after the summer school attendees. We've got our academic, our teaching staff that look after them during the lessons, our pastoral staff and activity staff that look after them outside of the lessons, and the general Stonyhurst staff that are there on hand to support anybody that is having a bit of a challenging moment or needs some help and needs to call home. And we actively encourage regular communication at home. The pupils have full access to Wi-Fi to be able to call home, to be able to send photographs, to be able to communicate quite clearly with home on a regular basis. And that's how we do that, really. And we try to give the people that come along on the summer school an opportunity to feel part of a big family. And we ensure that the boarding houses are kind of age appropriate. So we put the same age groups together, and then they go up an age group and up an age group, and that lends itself to building some of those kind of really nice networks of friends, really. So that's how we manage the safety of the site.
That's really great. That actually leads me into my next question. A lot of parents worry about their kids falling homesick and overwhelmed by being abroad. And so how do you help these students adjust and thrive quickly?
Yeah, so I suppose the honest answer there is, children do come to the summer school and they do feel a little bit homesick, should I say, and a little bit kind of worried about various things. So what we do there is we have a very relaxed start into the programme. What we do is we place the students in their relevant year groups and boarding houses. The younger end tends to be in dormitories where they're more together, but we encourage all of the students that come on the summer school to contact home and talk to home if needs be. But then we have the pastoral team will support with that. So if needed, we'll have a phone call with family and parents to understand what the situation is there. But we also believe in that kind of method which we use to get everybody sort of together very quickly, doing some fun things, making sure they understand what the boarding houses look like and the pastoral space looks like, and really start that friendship groups from the very, very beginning. And quite often we will bring a number of students back from the airport together. So you could have had 3 or 4 flights arrive at the same time. So those 3 or 4 flights will travel back in the coach back to Stonyhurst together. So already they start to have these friendly conversations before they get to the school. So quite often those issues are really easy to deal with, and we deal with them very quickly. And again, we support pupils right the way through the programme. If they've got issues, whether it be ongoing feeling of homesickness or any kind of medication-based issues, we support with that kind of thing. We have a health centre on site, which is there all the time as well to support. Okay. And just that sort of ongoing pastoral care system that we have in place for the main school. We use exactly the same systems that we use for the college all year round for the summer programme, which lasts, as I said before, for 4 weeks.
Not everybody is really familiar with what a boarding school is like. The notion of boarding school means different things in different countries and different communities. Give us an image. Just what is it like being in a boarding school? Is it comfortable? Is it very controlled? Are kids going to love it? What is it like really being in your boarding school?
Well, Stonyhurst is a big family. So our year groups board horizontally, so the pupils board age appropriate, whereas in some of the schools you'll board vertically and everybody will be in a house and you'd have sort of 11 through 18 maybe. So the boarding school system, particularly in the UK, so you will have the staff that deliver the academic side of things, but what we have what we call house parents and assistant house parents, so they act as the individual child's parents, loco parentis, I guess you would call that. And the boarding houses are friendly places. The older you go up the school, you go from maybe being in a dormitory of 4 or 6 beds, then you might go to 4 beds, to 2 beds, to 1 bed, ensuite, luxury facilities, and that tends to be the older you get, and you kind of go up there. And then what we have at Stonyhurst, we've got what we call playrooms, which is, I suppose, in a normal terminology, you maybe use a common room where the year groups come together, whether you're a day pupil or a boarding pupil. So you kind of build a community within the space, really. And our headmaster would always refer to Stonyhurst as being like a village, running a village and looking after all these different people from all across the world. And as I said before, it gives us a true view of what it's like to be a global school. Currently at Stonyhurst we have 38 nationalities represented across the school, mainly European, and then 38 nationalities across the school, primarily European, Mexican, Hong Kong, South Korea. Those kind of are our main areas, and that really helps because we try to mix the boarding houses up to give everybody an opportunity to maybe spend time with people from a different nationality, to improve their English, to improve their personal skills, and just to give that really broad experience of what it's like to study in the UK, I guess, whilst being in a building that is sort of as historic and has had so many things happen here over the years. It's kind of quite a special place to be, really.
What are some of the summer activities or the camp activities that students take part in? What is it like?
So the activities program is, I think last year we had over 100 activities that they can take part in. So it's everything from sports, individual sports, team sports, so examples of which could be tennis, could be football, rugby, those kind of things outside. As I said, arts and crafts. So we use our newly refurbished arts centre for the pupils that maybe are less sporty but want to spend more time doing creative things. A typical day will start at 7:30 to get up for breakfast at 8 a.m. to start lessons from 9 o'clock. And then we go literally through 9, 10:30 and have a bit of a break. And then it's lessons all throughout the morning. So the lessons are very often linked to some of the literary figures that we've got that either studied at Stonyhurst or wrote about Stonyhurst in the past. But it's done through a Jesuit lens. So we do very much about the Jesuit formation. So that runs through the whole of our curriculum, really, from that perspective. But pulling on lots of the historical and the cultural references that we have here. And then, as I said, you go through the day and into activities program. Fingers crossed, the weather will be good in the summer, so most of those activities take place outside. And then the evening entertainment is exactly that, really. It's an opportunity for students to step out of their comfort zone and maybe stand on a stage and sing a song, or do some acting, or whatever that looks like there. And quite often, the students are tired by the end of their sort of time with us, because it's a fairly crammed program. But we try to give the best opportunity for the students that come to the school, to give them a lasting experience that they'll remember forever, really, and give parents that comfort and that reassurance that their children are being looked after.
Understandably so. And by the way, I think I mentioned to you earlier that you have a very, very beautiful campus.
Thank you.
So what kind of students benefit the most from this experience? Is it only for top academic performers, or is it really open?
It's open, So we normally run about 6 classes. So we would normally run two beginner classes, 2 intermediate and 2 advanced. So that probably gives you a bit of an idea there. And an average class size is between 12 and 15, I would say, for those different levels. And the way we do that is we run placement tests on the first day of each of the summer school blocks, and then that placement test result determines where the pupil goes in terms of their year group or their level, should I say. And then from that, we'll teach to that level, and with differentiation scaffolding as needed to stretch the individuals who are in that class. Those that have got that opportunity to push on can be moved during the time with us. So if we determine that a child is performing really well in an intermediate group, we'll move them up to an advanced group, and the same from a beginner up to an intermediate if that's something that is deemed necessary by our teaching staff. Yeah, so that's how we do that.
We have students that have a different kind of school curriculum from the US, for example, or coming from Africa, that might not necessarily want to sit in a classroom the whole day to learn a course. Do they really have any options? What makes it less of a classroom feeling for them? Or is this strictly for students that are coming to experience what it's like sitting in a classroom? And if at all they're going to be in a classroom, what are some of the subjects that are taught, and how many hours of classroom study do they have to have, and how many hours of outdoor activities do they get to have as well?
So it's about, I would say, you're talking maybe about a third of the time will be in classrooms, a third of the time will be out and about in the estate, doing sports, doing fun things, doing sort of culture related activities, and then the other third is taken up by evening entertainment and excursion. So it's a very mixed thing and a mixed program. And I guess it is a summer school. There is an academic expectation, but it's an academic expectation that is designed around a curriculum that we develop. So it's not a curriculum that anybody sets. We develop the curriculum ourselves using things that we have at Stonyhurst. So whether that is a link to Shakespeare or a link to Lord of the Rings or whatever. So we try to use subjects that are interesting already, rather than a child coming from the States who maybe just thinks this is just like I've studied in my normal class in high school or wherever. There's no uniform, so it's all very relaxed in terms of how the pupils and how the staff, more importantly, how they look and how they feel. And it's designed around kind of a very relaxed way of doing things, which develops a couple of things, really. It develops the child's interest in the subject, because it's kind of a little bit more relaxed, a bit more sort of calm, I guess, in some respects. The teaching staff that we bring in come from all over the world. So we recruit those staff so the teachers are not teachers of Stonyhurst, they are summer school teachers. So they understand the need for it to be flexible and a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more fun. Then our activities teams are all kind of people aged maybe 19, 20 through 24, so quite sort of active and really wanting to sort of bring the experience of the fun side of things on as well. So I would say to people, it's open to everybody.
Okay.
And it gives you an opportunity to experience a boarding school whilst doing some academic studies, but also experiencing some activities they may never have done before. And that's kind of what it's all about, dipping your toe into the water and seeing what you find.
Okay. So is the idea around the courses more like hands-on, AI, technology, Shakespeare, not the typical curriculum? Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, how does attending a program like this actually impact a student's future academically, socially, or even in college admissions?
I suppose, a very good thing for college admissions, if that child wanted to come back to Stonyhurst for another period of time, already the way that they've handled themselves on the summer school goes forward in some notes that we send to our admissions team about the suitability of that individual to come to the school. I suppose that opportunity to be in a school that is populated by many different nationalities from many different cultural backgrounds, I think is really important, and that kind of social mobility aspect of it all. We've had an example of which was some children that came from Hong Kong a couple of years ago. We were written to by their parents at the end to say thank you, because the daughter that came back from the Stonyhurst Summer School was a different daughter that went to the Stonyhurst Summer School in terms of confidence, appetite to push on and do different things. So I think that is one of the most important takeaways from this. We are trying to give the children that are entrusted to us for that short window the best opportunity to make as many friends, to understand global culture, to spend time in the oldest Jesuit school in the world, taking our history and taking that forward into their school life and going back to their schools across the world to sort of share some of their experiences and give their peers something to look forward to, I guess, as they maybe experience or want to experience a British boarding school in the future.
Okay. Now, for American families or families from different countries comparing options, why choose a UK experience over staying here in the US?
Wow, that's a really good question. I suppose it's an opportunity, as I said before, to go to a country that is closely aligned to the US in terms of how we all get along together in terms of our histories and things like that. It's without coining the phrase, our school is like a castle. So I guess from a historical perspective, we have got a rich history with links to the States through various different alumni. It's an opportunity to spend time in a quirky building that you might not necessarily get the opportunity to do in America. But it's really about what does a British education look like for that really short window, snapshot in time, I guess, and to decide whether that's something that they want in the future. And that link to sort of the top universities of the UK, Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, Exeter, those kind of places. And what does it mean for their education more broadly, I suppose? Because, and it goes out of the comfort zone, it's not what they know. So you're stepping away from America maybe for the first time. And so it's an easy step to make. The language is the same. Some of the customs are the same. So it's kind of that stepping stone to the next thing, I think. And to give pupils in the States who may not necessarily get the opportunity to spend time with children from all these different European countries and further afield, and for that short window to make their own decisions, to make their own sort of ideas for the future, really.
Right. And this applies also to students from different countries, not only
of course, exactly the same. So whether you're from the Far East coming to the UK, it's the same opportunity. The chances of a pupil coming from Hong Kong meeting an American student in their education system, it's not likely to be a thing. But we bring that to a reality in the Stonyhurst Summer School.
Okay, sounds good. What do you say to parents who say, well, I don't particularly want my kid to come study in the UK in the future, but I want them to just get that experience. Are they going to be really benefiting out of this? Is it worth it for them? Is it valuable still, especially because the cultures are similar? It is definitely an opportunity for them to experience a pot with different cultures, people from, that mix. But what else do you have to say to parents that are thinking, I know that I want my kids to go to college in the US and not in the UK, but then I want them to have a summer experience in a different way in the UK?
Yeah, so, that's a fair question, isn't it? Because what makes us different, I suppose, to everything else? I think, we've been running this summer school now for coming up for about 20 years. We've grown year on year in terms of the numbers that come along. But it's really about what you've mentioned. It's about giving somebody an experience of something that they may not necessarily want for a long period of time. And the summer school is ideal to build confidence, to broaden somebody's mind, and give people a glimpse into what global education looks like, I suppose. I mean, we've been teaching pupils since 1593, albeit in different countries and under different political times, I suppose. And we've been doing it in a very, very similar way for a long time. We want people to be discerning. We want people to be inquisitive. We want people to look beyond and ask questions. And that's really quite important, I think. And by spending 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 3 weeks with similar-minded people of their own age, that can only be a good thing, adding some of that value. And whilst cultures are similar and the language is similar, they're also very different as well. And I think it's just about giving the parents the comfort that their investment in their child's future is a valuable thing. And we encourage parents to come if they're in the UK and they're on vacation. We encourage parents to come and have a look around, spend time in the school to understand what we're trying to do as a mini version of Stonyhurst College UK, more broadly, I guess. And that's kind of what we would be saying there, that real opportunity to develop independent thinking, ask a lot of questions, and understand that global reach of what a school can have, I guess.
That's wonderful. Now, what do parents often tell you after their child returns home? What changes do they see?
The confidence is always something that comes back on the feedback forms. Last year's returning numbers was about 30% of our entire student group are returning students year on year. So we said goodbye last year to a pupil from Germany that had been 5 times on the summer school. So she's been for 5 consecutive years, which is amazing because that says to us that her parents trusted us to deliver a really good product. And that's kind of so important for us. Confidence always comes through the development of the English language, and the friends and their experiences that they've made and had over that window is something that's kind of given them memories for life, really. But confidence is always the top one.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, I believe every parent wants their kid to definitely grow up being more confident. It serves in every area of their lives in the future. Yes. Can you tell us about your immersion programs and how different those are from your typical summer programs?
Yeah, so an immersion program at Stonyhurst is something that's relatively new. We offer multiple options there. So a student could come for a full year, so 3 terms, so 3 starting September and go right the way through till summer, or they can choose 1 term. So they could come for sort of 12 weeks, 10 weeks, that kind of thing. And it's an opportunity for a child who can leave the education system at home, join us for a set of programs where they would follow the same structure as our main school. So they would be part of academic excellence. They would do co-curricular, which is sports, drama, music, those kind of things. They would spend time pastorally in the boarding house, obviously. And then obviously there's the religious side, the chaplaincy side, so the Jesuit Catholic part of the school. So the immersion program is a short window of an experience of the full boarding school experience. Science, maths, history, geography are the wide range of curriculum, whereas the summer language school program that we've been speaking about is much more around English language and English literature, both spoken and written, whereas the immersion program is a snapshot of the full school experience. So they will be in the same boarding houses as their equivalents, they will go to the same lessons, they will do the same sport, they go on the same trips, but it's just for a shorter window, and then gives them some tools to return back to in this case, the American system, and pick back up their learning back in the States. Okay.
For students coming from other boarding schools, for example, on different continents, and who want to do a group immersion program for a shorter period of time, is that done? Do you guys welcome groups?
Yeah, we do that. So we tend to have, currently we have about 3 windows a year when we can welcome schools groups in. So normally we work around a maximum of 20 pupils for each of the immersions. They stay on site at one of the accommodation blocks that we have here. And then what we do is we pair up each pupil with one of our pupils, and they basically follow them around to their lessons over that period of time. But then we include in the immersion program the short-term immersion schools exchange, I guess you could call it as well. And they might do something specifically linked to their wishes. A trip might be to one of the cultural centres or not, as the case may be. And then normally the maximum stay is about 2 weeks for that. So currently we welcome a school from Hong Kong, one from Uruguay and one from Paris. That's how we sort of do that at the moment. So we've got nice relationships in that sense. And again, it just gives an opportunity very often for those visiting schools to be Jesuit schools. So they come and understand how a Jesuit school in the UK does their education. And then our students go to these other schools at different times to understand how Jesuit schools operate in different parts of the world, to see those commonalities that exist between between all Jesuit schools, it would appear.
That is incredible. We have a big homeschooling community in the US. How do you see them fitting into your summer programs? How do you see them benefiting from your summer programs?
Wow. Okay. So I guess from a homeschooling perspective, it's obviously very much one-to-one or very, very kind of close quarters from a teaching point of view, I suppose. And so I think, again, as what we talked about before, that the way that we manage the summer school pastorally would give parents the comfort that we are looking after their child's best interests at all times. The ratios are much less. The class sizes are much smaller. So I suppose a child who's used to being taught either 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 or 1-to-3, the class sizes are not so much bigger. So you're not going into a class size of 30 or 35. You're going into a relatively small class. So it would be kind of small steps. But I think that the access to the wider activities program, again, builds that confidence, a bit more individuality, and gives them some skills to maybe take back into the US and either add value to homeschooling or move away from homeschooling in the future. So that's kind of how we would do that. I don't believe yet we've welcomed anybody from a homeschooling background at all, but we would do the same things that we would do for any child we would welcome to the school.
And this is such a perfect opportunity because they will look for what fits what they are working on at any given time. So thank you for sharing that. Paul, this has been an incredibly insightful discussion. Thank you for sharing not just the details, but the impact these experiences can have on our young people. To everyone listening, opportunities like this don't come around often. A chance for your child to gain independence, global perspective, and confidence, all while experiencing life in one of the most historic environments in the world. So if you're even considering it, don't wait too long. These programs do fill up quickly. We will be leaving some information on how to either take part in the summer programs or in the immersion programs, or just to learn more about the school. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Paul, and goodbye.